Welcome everyone to the webinar. Uh, Today our webinar is about innovation through creative collaboration and a hybrid work model. Welcome everyone to the 8th webinar in our series dedicated to the future of work, brought to you by Service Rocket. My name is Sam Miller, and on behalf of the rest of my fellow Rocketeers, thanks for joining. That said, let's have some fun while we learn about innovation and how you can create a culture of innovation at your company. So pre-pandemic, business ideas were often generated during a chat at a water cooler or break rooms with colleagues. I myself am completely a remote employee, and if I were to commute the office, it would take me about 3 days to drive to Palo Alto, California from Boston. And two, the office and the water cooler would look like this because most of my coworkers are remote as well, and there would be no opportunity to spark up a conversation at the lunch table. CEO Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan and Chase said, remote work doesn't work for spontaneous idea generation and erodes culture, which is just one of the myriad of reasons why so many leaders from companies are now implementing hybrid or fully back to work mandates. But what about fully remote or working hybrid employees? How can companies foster a culture of innovation? Well, that's what we're going to go answer today for you today. And that's what we're going to answer for you today and more in this episode of the Future of Work by Service Rocket. On this webinar, we'll discuss what innovation is, why it's important, common challenges and solutions for fostering a culture of innovation, fundamentals for establishing a culture of innovation, and collaboration tools that will help your organization drive a culture of innovation in the future of work. You ready, Professor?
Hey, you're the boss.
All right. So Service Rocket is a leading tech-enabled services company that accelerates the growth of software companies and their customers. By maximizing software adoption and return on investment, Service Rocket provides an ecosystem of capabilities that span software implementation, adoption, retention, and expansion. A trusted partner to Atlassian, Meta, Digital AI, Thought Industries, NetSuite by Oracle, and Moreau, we offer both managed and professional services that cover pre-sales, onboarding, support, education, customer success, license resale, consulting, admin and support, training, and apps building. Our diverse workforce of Rocketeers enable the growth of 5,000 customers globally in Australia, Canada, Chile, India, Malaysia, Philippines, the UK, and the US. Just a little bit about your host, me. How you doing? My name is Sam Miller, and I am the product marketing manager for our emerging partners at Service Rocket. I specialize in uncovering customer needs and pain points to create products/services that meet those needs and creates value. I also love to help companies be more collaborative and communicative through technology. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And our guest speaker today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of the most eccentric, colorful, knowledgeable, and experienced business professors and professionals I have ever had the pleasure of learning from. On top of his executive teaching and consulting in innovation, implementation of innovation initiatives within firms, corporate entrepreneurship, and customer experience innovation, he also serves on many boards currently. So right now, he's a professor at Babson College. He's also a strategic advisor board at Andover Health. He's a member of the Board of Advisors for Global Center for Social Entrepreneurship. He also served as a member of the Innovation Advisory Board at Ocean Spray. He served also as a member of the Flavor Advisory Board at Firmenich. Did I say that right? Firmenich. Thank you. Appreciate it. In Switzerland. He also formerly was a member of the Innovation Advisory Board at Bank of Colombia. Please give a warm future work welcome to our guest speaker, Dr. Jay Rao.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Doesn't it make you feel good?
Yeah.
No, I know I've read this multiple times, but each time I do, I honestly become more and more impressed with you, Professor. Welcome to the Future Work webinar. Say hi to your adoring fan.
I've already gave you the grade. You can call me Jay. You don't need to call me Professor anymore.
It feels weird. I don't know. So what is innovation? Now that all the intros out of the way, Professor, we all have an idea of what innovation is, but as someone who studied innovation for 20 plus years, how would you break down the concept of innovation?
So the best we can understand innovation is by understanding risk and uncertainty. Okay. We use the word risk. Most companies use the word risk, okay, to mean everything. Okay. In the pandemic, the word uncertainty is getting a little more popular. And in fact, there's a new buzzword that is becoming super popular called VUCA. Okay. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Right? But these have been around for 60 years. Okay. So risk is the past. Risk you can measure. Risk is about having data. You have data from iPhone 10, 11, 12, 13. You have data, you have a spreadsheet, and you can roughly kind of understand the relationship between variables. And you don't have to be a genius to tell me there's going to be an iPhone 15. Okay, that's risk. Okay. But uncertainty is different. And also you can do, in risk, you can do scenario planning, you can do what if analysis. What happens if oil prices go to $100 a barrel? What if oil prices go to $50 a barrel? And so forth. And you can come up with a risk mitigation plan. Okay. But what happened in the early days of the pandemic is oil prices went to negative. And that was what we call as a oh shit moment. Because that was not on your spreadsheet. You had not calculated for that. That was pure uncertainty. Right? And so for innovation, we have to understand that. So the first thing is that what can we calculate, what we cannot calculate? Because we as humans, either we are risk managers or uncertainty navigators. Right? Risk management is current cash flow, current business models, current products. Uncertainty is future cash flow, future business models. So the first step to understand innovation is risk and uncertainty. If you go to the next slide, again, the word innovation is highly abused, highly misused, highly overused, okay? And all of us have our own definitions of innovation, okay? Very few people will say, hey, I'm a legal expert or an IT expert. But in their mind, everybody is an innovation expert because they all have their own opinions, right? So one of the things that I force companies to do is to precisely define it. And that is, innovation has to move the needle in the market. It has to have an impact in the market. It has to help you introduce a new product. It has to help you maybe create a new market. Perhaps it has to help you steal market share. It has to somehow either move the top line or the bottom line inside the company or create value socially, okay? So once you understand this, then you can kind of go deeper, okay? Because now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that innovation, roughly, you can categorize them into two big buckets. One is what we call as intergeneration change, okay? And today we have all computers sitting in our pockets. But basically, if you look at Apollo 11, Apollo 11 was controlled by big mainframe computers, which filled an entire room. Okay. And then we, of course, had mini computers the size of a big refrigerator. And then we had desktops, laptops, but now they're all sitting in our pockets, right? But with these intergeneration change, the pandemic created intergeneration change. The reason we are having this discussion is because many companies have said, you don't need to come back to work, okay? So commercial real estate is going through this intergeneration change, which is triggered by this pandemic. So technology, science, even new kind of generations. I have two daughters, just 2.5-year difference. Older one was in Facebook and the younger one refused to go into Facebook because it was for old people. She wasn't talking about parents. She was talking about her elder sister.
Wow.
So if Facebook had not bought Instagram, they might have missed out on the next generation. Okay? So intergeneration changes are triggered all the time. Also, you as managers and leaders, you have to be also responsible for another set of changes that happens inside one generation of products. So if you go to the next slide, you will see that There are many ways to change the game in the market. Product innovation, process innovation, business model innovation, customer experience innovation, right? So there is no one way to change the game in the market. Okay. And of course, terms like disruptive innovation, again, highly abused, misused. Okay. But it's just one type of innovation, right? So that's the good news. The good news is that innovation, there is no one formula for innovation. And the other good news is that if you look at this picture, a small company like Palm can come and change the game. BlackBerry started out as a super small company. They came and changed the game. Or large companies like Motorola or Apple can come and change the game. So in many ways, innovation is very democratic. Large gorillas can come and change the game, and small monkeys can come and change the game. Okay. So if you go to the next slide, again, the way we humans go into the future is incrementally and radically. Okay. And all business models, all technologies, kind of the performance goes up over time and costs come down over time. Okay. And we go into the future incrementally, radically in terms of performance, and costs come down incrementally, radically over time as well. And so what do companies really need to master? If you go to the next slide, you will see that we can capture innovation in multiple ways. Okay. Let me give you one more example of how innovation kind of can change the game.
Please.
People will say, hey, this is an old industry. The place is highly crowded. It's hard to enter and it's hard to steal money. No, nonsense. People will say it's red ocean or the blue ocean, things like that, right? In my generation, if we paid more than $50 or $100 annual fee for a credit card, you were considered a loser. But you, the millennials, many of you are splurging $300, $400, $500 on credit card fees every year, isn't it?
Yeah, I know people that do that.
You love the perks, don't you? All the experience they throw in, right? We, the older generation, we never did that. And who is milking the millennials? It's the big gorillas like Chase or Capital One. Okay. All these big guys are the ones who are offering you all kinds of sexy looking cards for $500, $600 because you guys love the lounges in airports, right?
They are nice. I can give that.
Isn't it? At the same time came a monkey, a small company called Revolut. Okay. Revolut started out as a debit card. You could walk into a store like CVS, like a pharmacy or a convenience store, pay £200, put money on it, and then you could actually convert them into different currencies in Europe. So you could convert the £200 into Swiss franc, into euros, or even put it in dollars. And this was given to young people at the interbank rate and not the interbank plus 3%. And you could take out cash in any ATM in the local currency. This became a super hit, okay? Because those who were traveling inside of Europe, the young people loved it because they were able to carry 4, 5, 6 different currencies on that one little card. And then they became a credit card. And it's now a unicorn. So, and again, how did a small company enter the market in such a late stage in a very crowded space? So there is always a time to change the game in the market. And large companies can do it, small companies can do it. And there are many ways to go do this. So that in a gist of how you can work with innovation.
Thank you, Professor. That's very eloquently said. So now that we have some fundamental knowledge, appreciate that. I know you're asking yourself, why does all this information matter? Or how can I sell this innovation importance to my leadership? So here's some eye-popping stats that'll grab your team's attention. According to a Deloitte research study, companies that collaborate well are 30% more innovative. Also, companies that collaborate well are 36% more productive. There's also $9.3 billion of additional value if companies make the most opportunities to collaborate and innovate, while only 6% of leaders are actually satisfied with their innovative performance. At the end of the day, if you're maintaining the status quo as a company, you're either going to become dissatisfied or surpassed by your competition. Innovation is a key driver of growth and improvement. This is because it pushes you to step outside of your comfort zone. As a result, this exposes you to fresh ideas, perspective, and strategies. And eventually this will make you and your company more effective, efficient, and productive. Very similar to what you said, Professor. And in this next section, we're going to review common challenges and solutions that companies face. Professor, I'm eager to get your feedback on these challenges and solutions with all of your years of experience in studying innovation around the world. Please chime in as we go along, all right? The first challenge we found is impractical expectations. They cause a loss of confidence by employees and leadership. So then output suffers, which leads to an inability to secure investment for future projects. To combat this, leave some wiggle room for things to go wrong, test MVPs or minimal viable product ideas, and see where things break first before investing heavily. Also, have a defined innovation process and end goals in the next place. Define innovation process and end goals in place to hold everyone accountable. Sound about right, Professor?
Yeah, and again, for example, there's a lot of misconceptions or mythologies around innovation, okay? If you go around and ask anybody in your company, I can almost guarantee you 9 out of 10 will tell you, oh, all innovation has to be radical. All innovation has to be disruptive. Oh, otherwise it's not innovation. Incremental improvements are for losers. This is a constant theme you hear across globally on all companies. Okay. And it's not true at all. Okay. So, in fact, incremental innovations are so important. They're at the heart of radical innovations. Okay. The more you do incremental, the easier radical gets. Okay. The faster you do incremental, the easier radical gets. So there are a lot of these mythologies and misunderstandings when it comes to innovation. And so it's not like learning how to read a balance sheet. Okay.
Which I'm still not good at. Next is a lack of innovation strategies. Without a strategy for innovating in place, efforts can become misaligned with company goals, or people who end up caring about innovation, or the only people who care about innovation is the leadership team when it should be the entire company. To combat these issues, define a set of objectives with a process of how to obtain these objectives, while also being transparent with the team about the overall plan.
Yeah, and again, for instance, it's always a fight between current cash flow and future cash flow. Okay. And a lot of innovations take time to return that cash.
Mm-hmm.
And many times finance is not willing to wait for that return, right? So even though you may have a strategy, but if it doesn't deliver quickly, people get disillusioned.
Yes, very much so. And finally, unempowered innovation teams. Some innovation managers are concerned that innovation will divert the attention of their workforce from their daily tasks and responsibilities. As a result, some employees don't feel equipped or motivated to participate in the exploration of new ideas or even in discussions related to companies' innovation activities. Because of this, they develop a less regard for innovation objectives, which could possibly make them feel that innovation should be the least of the organization's priorities. Leaders should promote innovation as an inclusive activity that inspires, appreciates, and rewards innovation concepts. Now, this is a great transition to how we're actually going to build a culture of innovation. So to boost your innovation culture, of innovation, companies can take the following steps, like offering thorough backing for innovation initiatives, conducting innovation training, promoting accountability for innovation performance outcomes, allocate efficient resources to support sustainable culture change, and developing innovation strategies and projects together with employees. Encourage employees to spend time innovating via motivational activities such as incentive programs, hackathons, and other innovation challenges. Have you ever heard of any of these, something similar, Professor?
Oh, lots. I mean, companies are doing lots of different types of activities to stimulate that culture, right? And so So there's quite a good amount of research to show that the biggest driver of innovation is culture. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we can probably chat a little more about that.
Definitely. Next is a framework that you see on the screen, outlines some fundamentals for creating a culture of innovation, which entails building a sense of belonging and safety through a shared commitment of innovation. Now, this isn't mine. This is coming from a McKinsey and Company, and it really starts with belief and value. McKinsey's research of corporate value shows that the world's 50 most innovative companies hold innovation as a central value 3 times as often as the rest of the S&P 500. Leaders of these organizations then cascade those values into the on-the-ground employee experience. So making innovation fundamental to your business is the first step. And again, please chime in, Professor. Next is frame and champion. It's up to the leadership team to build optimism and consistently encourage risk-taking by framing innovation as fundamental to the organization's success. By evangelizing stories of past, present, and future innovations, both from within the organization and outside, leaders can expand employees' views of what is possible. Have you found something similar like that with the consulting work that you've done?
Oh, absolutely. But in this case, having these champions are super important, right? Who will protect future cash flow, and kind of and act upon it. The symbolizing and signaling is about acting, and the way you act is through projects, innovation projects, and the way you develop people's skills are through innovation projects. Okay, and that demonstration, okay, and ritualization is super important. Saying that, hey, how are we step by step developing our future cash flow? Yeah, and at the same time, as I said before, if things don't materialize quickly, okay, you need to incubate them and you need to protect them. Otherwise, it will be killed.
So then there's signal and symbolize. So leading innovators understand that symbols hold great power and that companies can leverage symbols to reinforce the need for innovation. Symbols can be physical, verbal, or action-oriented, like the professor just said, such as a CEO frequently visiting sites where innovators work. A lot of the fear goes away when a CEO is plugged into your agenda. Another potent symbol is status recognition, which can be accomplished by celebrating innovation publicly and offering financial rewards. Next is show and ritualize. To make innovation the norm rather than occasional endeavor, companies should establish routines and rituals such as innovation days, hackathons, and meeting-free Fridays that senior executives lead or at least participate in to signal innovation's central role. And finally, shield and empower. I think this one's the most important one. The experience of innovation inside most organizations is stressful, to say the least. Innovators have been known to suffer from fear, anxiety, and frustration the most, as well as having a feeling of joy, inspiration, and courage, but to a much smaller degree. By building a sense of belonging and safety through a shared commitment to innovation, companies give employees the assurance that it's okay to experiment, ask questions, and provide feedback. Anything you want to add here, Professor, before I wrap the slide up?
No, I think they've covered it all. Okay, and I'll kind of comment on this in the next few slides.
Okay, so by providing employees with psychological safety and an innovation-centric purpose and explicit encouragement and rewards, management can help them find the courage and to risk failure in pursuit of ambition. So next is to me is the coolest part. For this episode of the Future Work webinar, we're going to demonstrate how to use collaboration software tools to successfully execute one of the most innovative projects/initiatives you can ever run as a company on a global scale. Hack Week. Held once a year, Hack Week at Service Rocket reflects a culture of innovation that's taking product development to new heights, and Hack Week 23.1 was the biggest one so far. I won't ruin the story, but you can scan the QR code on the screen to read a fantastic article on our Under the Dome content hub, written by the super multi-talented Connie Blazik, who I am proud to say is my teammate. You're the best, Connie. We all wish you a speedy recovery. So, Professor, you ready to see how Service Rocket does a hackathon?
Go ahead.
You sound so excited. I appreciate it.
No, I don't know that product, so sorry about that.
No, the product is how we do a hackathon. I'm just messing with you. So to execute our global Hack Week, we use the following software tools: Confluence, Miro, Jira, Workplace from Meta, and NetSuite by Oracle. Full disclosure, we use these software tools internally, and we are service providers on top of licensed resellers. For more information on any of these tools, please scan the corresponding QR code. So Hack Week is a full week hackathon run once every 2 quarters since 2016. To show and ritualize the event process, our leadership team has leveraged a tool you see on the screen called Confluence to document the process of how to execute a hackathon Service Rocket style. Confluence is a team workspace where knowledge and collaboration meet. Dynamic pages give your team a place to create, capture, capture, and collaborate on any project or idea. Spaces help your team structure, organize, and share work, so every team member has visibility into institutional knowledge and access to the information they need to do their best work. In simple terms, it's like a Wikipedia page for your business that you can update regularly. The main actors in a hackathon are the engineering managers and the engineers who build the ideas that come from the teams. But they're not alone. Cross-team collaboration is encouraged by open participation to all employees, such as support, product, marketing, ops, HR, etc. Then there's the committee of judges, which includes senior leadership, so the CEO, CCO, head of divisions or team leads, etc. Our rule is everyone forms a team with buddies, around 2 to 3 people, and every Hack Week team is required to produce a Hack Week workplace post explaining their idea and outcome. Now, to win, after the last Hack Week contestant has posted their idea in workplace, participants and judges will cast their vote to decide on the winning team. The winning idea at Service Rocket wins $10,000, which is split between all the team members. It's a nice incentive, right, Professor?
Well, most of the time, it's not the money. It's the recognition that most people really like, right? Yeah. And they're really way more proud of the recognition than the reward.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I will take the reward right now because I'm about to put a child in daycare, so I completely understand.
I know. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's not important.
So after the teams have been selected, we encourage the team to collaborate using Miro. Miro is an online collaborative whiteboard platform that enables distributed teams to work effectively together, from brainstorming with sticky notes to planning and managing agile workflows. Miro has all the features and templates you need to go from ideation to execution on new products and company initiatives. One of the templates that I like to use the most is the icebreaker template, you can see on the top, right? It's a great way to get the creative juices flowing, to get everyone acquainted with one another if it's their first time collaborating, and to have some fun before you start brainstorming. Next, we recommend using a mind map template to get ideas out of your team's head onto the virtual whiteboard so that the team can be aligned on features, benefits, and value proposition for your new innovation. And finally, Miro has an innovation matrix template. This template enables your team to identify new areas of innovation while simplifying innovation management in the process. It's often used as a starting point for creating an innovation program. You start with defining the problem and the domain so that everyone is clear on the terms and the areas of focus. Next, you gather everyone's ideas onto the black space where you can organize them into themes and summarize each theme in a single note. And finally, the team discusses each theme or idea and places them into an appropriate quadrant so you can assign next steps or ideas worth pursuing. Now, if you're unsure of how to use Miro, use a template, most of them come with step-by-step instructions. Additionally, we at Service Rocket offer trainings available to drive your team's product adoption, to make your team members prolific meeting facilitators, and how to integrate Miro with your other systems to drive transparency, performance, and team alignment. I tried to get you, I showed you Miro and you were like, I don't want to learn a new tool. I was just trying to show you, but I understand. I get it. It's
no,
really
I think for project teams, these are very important.
Yeah.
And so for me, how do you develop entrepreneurial skills? How do you develop uncertainty navigation skills, right? Is through work to be associated with an innovation project. That's where you learn. Okay. When do you analyze and act? When do you act and then analyze? When you have data, you act and analyze. Sorry, you analyze and act. But when you don't have data, you need to act and then create data, and then you analyze, right? And so being in these projects, these are some of the tools that will help you in order to kind of collaborate and move your projects. Okay?
The next tool is after the team has decided on which ideas to pursue, we use Jira to assign action items and keep track of the progress made towards the idea becoming a reality. Jira is the #1 software development tool used by Agile teams. What's great about Jira is that it's so versatile. It's known for being used by software development teams, but it also can be used for generic project management. For instance, support teams use it to keep track of customer issues from being raised and resolved. Operations teams uses it to keep track of project implementations with customers, and marketing teams like mine use it to keep track of campaigns, website development, and for instance, webinar execution tracking. Go figure. When you see what you see on the right side of the screen is the Jira ticket created to keep track of the hackathon week idea for shared goals and workplace bots for comments. In the description, you see how the team broke out their idea into challenges, solutions, and expectations. And the photos at the bottom are of product manager Wilmer Medina, hey Wilmer, doing his best Steve Jobs impression. To keep the entire company up to date on Hack Week, we use a tool called Workplace, a group inside a Workplace with video and image posts to promote and vote on the ideas submitted. If you're unfamiliar with Workplace from Meta, it's the all-in-one business collaboration platform that enables collaboration through a familiar and easy to use user interface. If you've ever used Facebook account, you can pick up Workplace and run with it. With features like chat, video calls, groups, and posts, no matter who you're collaborating with, regardless of time zone, the right features to get your message across are available within a few clicks of your mouse. Excuse me. The post you see on the right is of the winning Hack Week idea announcement. Hack Week 23.1 winner, NetSuite Shared Goals, which is a way for employees to simplify quarterly goal tracking. On the right side of the slide, you'll see the goals module in NetSuite. We use this to keep our entire company rowing in the same direction towards our company goals. NetSuite is a leading integrated cloud business software suite for enterprise resource planning. It helps you manage inventory, track financials, host e-commerce stores, and maintain customer relationship systems. What you see on the top right is actually my goals for this quarter, which includes executing on this webinar. Thanks for your help, Professor. Now I can check off one of my 10. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
On the bottom of the side, you'll see the Hack Week winner integration that Wilmer's team created to enable Service Rocket employees to update their goals automatically through Workplace, which saves everyone time by reducing the amount of context switching that happens on a daily basis. I'm personally looking forward to using this tool, this integration. So what do you think, Professor? You like how we systematize Hack Week?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the thing is that these are all tools, right? And for you mentioned that, you know, agile teams use a lot of these kinds of tools, right?
Correct.
Now, when you kind of step back, one of the key things is that you can have tools, you can have project management methods and techniques. In companies, what happens is that whether you're using waterfall or agile, there's a huge amount of confusion, okay? Because I have seen large companies use mostly waterfall methodologies and not agile methodologies for innovation projects. And that's where comes the rub, okay? Because your agile teams are not able to they'll get completely hamstrung the moment they have to kind of interact with waterfall methodologies or different types of software, because the needs of a big bang approach of waterfall is very different from very fast learning agile methodologies in innovation. So the challenge is not in the tools. The challenge is in the executives who don't understand the difference between waterfall and agile. In software companies, you all know this. But the moment you get out of software, very few people understand agile, right? And let alone the tools. You can go sell them the tools, but your job is to actually educate the bosses about the difference between agile and waterfall, okay? So be very careful when you sell the tools, okay? And they may have pre-existing waterfall tools, which are completely opposing to the agile tools.
Makes sense. We're about to wrap up. So in conclusion, to wrap up episode 8, which actually went faster than I was expected, we'd like to leave you with the following. Innovation equals changes in the competitive dynamics in the market that should create social value. Innovative ideas have a life cycle, and if you aren't continuously innovating, you're behind your competition. set realistic goals, create an innovation strategy, and empower your team to be successful, both mentally and with technology. Thank you so very much. I generally want to thank everyone for your time, your patience, and participation in this webinar, especially you, Professor. Knocked it out the park like I knew you would. You gave us an hour of your time of your busy day, and we hope you learned something that you can take with you going forward. As a reminder, we'll be sending out a copy of this webinar recording to all the registrants, and it can be added to, and it will be added to our website for later reference. At this time, just want to open things up for questions. All right, we got one that came in. Professor, what's the most innovative idea you've ever seen?
I'm at Babson and I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. Okay. And I get bombarded with innovative ideas constantly.
Oh, it's a terrible problem. I hate when that happens.
Okay. And trust me, we don't have a dearth of ideas. Okay. We have lots and lots of ideas. What companies lack are the skills to scale. Only 10% of all companies have more than 20 employees. Okay. Less than 2% of all companies have more than 100 employees in the United States. Less than 0.5% of all companies have more than 500 employees. So we all have ideas. It's the execution and the skills to scale are the most difficult. So we can buy the tools, we can get together, we can ideate, we can have kumbaya. But if we don't have the support to scale those ideas, it's pretty much useless. Okay. So many people think it is the power of the idea. It's not the power of the idea. It is the skills to scale, whether it's an individual entrepreneur or whether it's a team inside of a large company. It doesn't matter.
Next question that came in. What resources would you recommend we read to learn more about innovation? I have an answer for this question, but I definitely want to hear yours. It's probably going to be the same thing, but we'll see what happens.
No, I mean, there are lots and lots of resources for innovation. It's not the number of books you read. It's how well you read a book.
Good point.
Okay, that comes from John Dewey, the famous librarian, okay, and lexicographer. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you pick Clayton Christensen's methodologies or Jeffrey Moore's methodologies. Okay, it doesn't matter. Or it could be a BCG methodology. It doesn't matter what the methodology or the tools are. Pick one and do it incredibly well. Don't jump from methodology to methodology. What happens is that I see executives or even young people read 20 different books, all confusing with too many languages, too many frameworks, too many kind of different ways of approaching things. No, pick one and go deep and do it super diligently. Okay. So in that sense, there are many of those, whether you follow the agile lean startup methodology, or whether you go and use Steve Blank's approach, it doesn't matter, but pick one and go deep.
Very poignant answer. You mentioned what's his name, Jeffrey Moore, and that was actually what I was going to say. This is his book, Crossing the Chasm. Chasm, depends on how you pronounce it. But this is a book that we use, our leadership team at Service Rocket has read, quotes heavily on a regular basis. It's actually part of our pitch as a company. So I would definitely recommend Crossing the Chasm, chasm as a way for you to get some framework and a structure for you can actually learn some more about innovation. And it's also, yeah, actually, I'll leave it at that. Professor, thank you. I'm eternally grateful. And I do owe you. I will definitely pay you back. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you everyone for coming. Have a great day.
Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Sam, for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.